If you're someone who has massive dreams, like genuinely big, scary, exciting dreams, but you can't seem to get yourself to do the work, this video is for you. I was 17, failed my exams, spending 12 hours a day on my phone. My mom thought I was depressed. My dad thought I was just lazy. And honestly, I didn't know which one was true. Here's the thing. I had vision boards. I had notebooks full of goals. I'd watch motivational videos at 2 a.m. and feel invincible, and then wake up and do absolutely nothing. Fast forward a few years, I've built systems around AI and productivity that actually work. I've got a routine I don't negotiate with, and I've helped thousands of people online break out of the same loop I was stuck in. But none of that happened because I got motivated. It happened because I stopped waiting to feel ready. Today I'm going to share 7 steps that will take you from someone who dreams big but acts small to someone whose daily habits actually match their ambitions. But it wouldn't have happened without understanding one brutal truth first. Motivation is a liar. Step 1. Step number 1 of breaking lazy habits is kill the motivation myth. Here's what I learned the hard way. Motivation is an emotion. And you can't build a life on an emotion any more than you can build a house on sand. It feels solid until the tide comes in. Think about it. You don't wait to feel motivated before brushing your teeth. You just do it. Because it's a system, not a feeling. My mentor once told me, professionals do it on their worst days. Amateurs only do it on their best. I used to be the amateur. Every single day. I remember sitting at my desk one morning completely empty, no energy, no inspiration, nothing. And I thought, what would a disciplined version of me do right now? Not a motivated version, a disciplined one. I opened my laptop, I started. That was it. The 3 things killing your motivation myth. 1. The feeling trap. Motivation is a reward for action, not a prerequisite. You don't get motivated, then start. You start, then you get motivated. Every time you wait for the feeling, you're training your brain to need permission from your emotions. 2. The highlight reel problem. You're comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's finished product. What you don't see is the 3 hours of silence before the breakthrough, the unglamorous reps, the boring Tuesday. 3. The identity gap. You still see yourself as someone who struggles with discipline, and your brain will always protect that identity. Until you change the label, you'll keep acting out the story. Here's a tool I call the 2-minute ignition. When you don't feel like starting, commit to just 2 minutes. Not 20, 2. Your only job is to sit down and touch the work. That's it. 90% of the time, you keep going. Because starting is the hard part. But killing the myth is just the foundation. What you build on top of it is your identity. Which brings us to step number 2. Step number 2 is upgrade your identity before your habits. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but you can't out-habit a self-image problem. You can white-knuckle a routine for 2 weeks, but if you still fundamentally see yourself as a lazy person, those habits will collapse the second life gets hard. The truth is, behavior follows belief, not the other way around. Who do you see when you look in the mirror? Not what you want to be. Who do you actually believe you are right now? Think of it like this. If you found a wallet on the street, would you return it? Most people say yes. Why? Not because of the habit of returning wallets, because of the identity of being an honest person. Identity drives behavior automatically. The 3 shifts that upgrade your identity. 1. Change the language. Stop saying, I'm trying to be more disciplined. Start saying, I'm a disciplined person who sometimes falls off. The first is a wish. The second is a wobble on a foundation. 2. Cast votes. Every small action is a vote for the person you're becoming. You don't need a streak, you need a pattern. Woke up and made your bed? Vote. Did 20 minutes of deep work? Vote. The election isn't won in one day. It's won across thousands of small moments. 3. Find your reference group. You become your conversations. Genuinely. If everyone around you normalizes scrolling, sleeping in, and complaining, those behaviors will feel normal to you too. Your environment is either confirming or denying your new identity every single day. Identity without environment is just theory. Which brings us to step number 3. Your world isn't as it is. Your world is as you are. The person who wakes up at 6 a.m. doesn't have more hours than you. They have a different relationship with discomfort. And discomfort tolerance, that's a skill. It's trained. Nobody is born disciplined. They just practice choosing hard over comfortable long enough that hard became their default. Step 3. Step number 3 is design your environment. Don't rely on your willpower. Willpower is wildly overrated. It depletes, it fluctuates. It's at its weakest at exactly the moment you need it most. 11 p.m. when Netflix is one click away. See, every environment sends signals. Your phone on your desk signals distraction. A clean workspace signals focus. Your sneakers by the door signal movement. The environment speaks before you make a single decision. I didn't become more disciplined, I just stopped arguing with my environment. I set it up so the right choice was also the easy choice. The 3 environment upgrades. 1. Reduce friction for good habits. Want to read more? Put the book on your pillow. Want to work out? Sleep in your gym clothes. The easier the action, the less decision fatigue standing between you and it. 2. Increase friction for bad habits. Delete apps from your home screen. Put your phone in another room. Make the scroll require 3 extra steps. You won't eliminate the urge. You'll just give yourself a window to choose differently. 3. Make it social. Tell someone your commitment, not for accountability theater, but because the brain takes social commitments more seriously than private ones. Our brains evolved in tribes. Social consequence is real consequence. The acronym here is LESS. Location, equipment, schedule, social. Design all 4 and you've built an environment that does half the discipline work for you. Your environment is set. Now you need to protect what fills it. Which brings us to step number 4. Step 4. Step number 4 is protect your energy like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. You can recover lost money. Lost time, sort of. Lost energy? That one's freaking sneaky, because you don't always notice it draining until you're running on empty and wondering why you can't execute. Discipline without energy is just suffering. I was trying to be productive on 5 hours of sleep, no sunlight, and a diet of anxiety and caffeine. That's not a work ethic. That's self-destruction with a good story. Your output is directly proportionate to your input. Garbage in, garbage out. Not just with information. With sleep, food, movement, mental space. The 3 energy protections. 1. Sleep is non-negotiable. This isn't wellness content. Sleep is a cognitive performance tool. One bad night drops your decision-making to near impairment levels. The people you admire who execute consistently, they sleep. They're just quiet about it. 2. Guard your mental inputs. What you consume shapes what you produce. If you start the morning scrolling drama and outrage, your brain spends the first hour of the day in threat mode. Protect the first 30 minutes of your day like you'd protect a boardroom meeting. 3. Move your body daily. Not for aesthetics, for chemistry. 20 minutes of movement floods your system with exactly the neurotransmitters you need for focus and emotional regulation. It's the cheapest productivity hack that nobody takes seriously enough. Energy is the engine. But even a full engine needs a direction, which brings us to step number 5. Here's something that freaked me out when I first realized it. Most people aren't lazy, they're directionless. Laziness is actually pretty rare. What's common is having so many options, so much noise, so many half-started things that the brain just freezes. And a frozen brain looks a lot like laziness from the outside. Clarity isn't a luxury, it's the prerequisite for everything else. Step 5. Step number 5 is shrink the target until it's impossible to miss. Big goals are inspiring, they're also paralyzing. The brain looks at build a successful business and goes blank because it doesn't know what to do in the next 5 minutes. And 5 minutes is all you ever actually have. My mentor once said, You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. I stopped asking, what do I want to achieve, and started asking, what is the one thing I can do today? That shift changed everything. The 3 ways to shrink the target. 1. Identify your MINs. Most important next step, not the project, not the goal, the single next physical action. Write the essay isn't a task. Open the document and write the first sentence is. MINs removes ambiguity, and ambiguity is where procrastination lives. 2. Time box ruthlessly. Work expands to fill the time you give it. Parkinson's law is real. Give yourself 2 hours for something that should take 45 minutes. It'll take 2 hours. Compress the window. Urgency creates focus. 3. Celebrate small wins loudly. Your brain needs evidence that it can execute. Every small win is that evidence. Ignore it and your brain stays uncertain. Acknowledge it, even just mentally, and you're building a case for your own capability. Small targets done consistently compound into bananas results. But consistency requires one more thing you might not expect. Which brings us to step number 6. Step 6. Step number 6 is raise the stakes on your future self. Here's what's wild. Your future self is a stranger. Neuroscience literally shows that when people think about their future self, the same brain regions activate as when they think about a stranger. And you don't sacrifice for strangers. You sacrifice for people you love. So the problem isn't laziness. It's that you don't feel connected to who you're becoming. I started writing letters to myself. 6 months from now, a year from now. Not goals, letters. Like I was writing to someone I loved. That shift in language changed how seriously I took today. The 3 ways to raise the stakes. 1. Make it personal. Attach your discipline to something that actually matters to you. Not society's version of success, yours. Why do you want this? Get specific. Vague reasons produce vague effort. 2. Create visual accountability. A simple habit tracker on your wall. Not an app, physical, something you see. The streak itself becomes a reason to continue. Breaking it hurts. That's the point. 3. Write the letter. Seriously. Take 10 minutes tonight and write to yourself 6 months from now. What do you want to tell that person? What are you committed to? Seal it. Set a reminder. This is embarrassingly effective. You've got the stakes raised. You've got the systems. Now there's one final thing that separates people who almost make it from people who actually do. Which brings us to step number 7. Step number 7 is build the habit of keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say you'll do something and don't, you're not just skipping a task. You're training your brain that your word means nothing, even to you, especially to you. And here's the brutal part. Self-trust is the foundation of confidence, not achievement, not success. The quiet, private act of doing what you said you'd do, even when no one's watching. Nobody saw me sit down that night and do the work. Nobody clapped. Nobody knew. But I knew. And that was the rep that mattered most. The 3 levels of self-promise. 1. Start ridiculously small. Promise yourself something so small it feels insulting. 5 minutes of work. 1 paragraph. 1 set. Make it so easy that breaking it feels worse than doing it. You're not training discipline. You're training the habit of follow-through. 2. Never break twice. Miss once, it happens. Miss twice, it's a pattern. The rule isn't perfection, it's interruption. 1 day off, back on the next. This is the only streak that matters. 3. Close the loop. When you do what you said, acknowledge it, not loudly, just internally. I said I'd do it, I did it. That internal acknowledgement is how self-trust compounds. It's how the stranger becomes someone you'd sacrifice for. I want to say something directly to you before we close. I don't think you're lazy. I think you've been waiting for a feeling that was never coming. I think you've been surrounded by an environment that was quietly working against you. I think you've been making promises to a future self you didn't believe in yet. The fact that you're still watching this, right now, at this point in the video, that's not what lazy people do. Lazy people clicked off in the first 30 seconds. What's actually holding you back isn't your character, it's clarity, environment. The small gap between who you are today and who you need to believe you're becoming. My mentor once told me, the size of your life is determined by the size of the problems you're willing to take on. You're not too small for your dreams. You just haven't decided, really decided, that today is the day your habits match them. Here's the one thing I want you to do tonight. Not tomorrow, tonight. Open a blank note on your phone or grab a piece of paper. Write down one task, just one, that your future self would thank you for completing. Then do it, right now, before you sleep. That's it. Here's why it works. It's not about the task, it's about the rep. Every time you make a small promise and keep it, your brain updates its model of who you are. That's how self-trust builds. That's how discipline becomes identity. Not in dramatic moments, in quiet ones, alone, when no one's watching. Try that tonight. In a few months, you're going to look back and realize everything shifted from this small moment. Subscribe if this helped. I'll see you in the next one.